What's going on, people? Welcome back to another JSTV. Back again tonight. Which is the football talk show. I've got Tony with me, and I've got Bournemouth fan Craig. Good evening to you guys.
Good evening, John. How you doing, mate?
Good evening, John.
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing good evening to you guys. Doing really well, and just got back from Elsby. I was away for 2 days, did a course, and you know what? I'm just glad to be home, to be fair, but missing this as well, so I need to be up as well. So, guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Also, follow Craig Up the Cherries podcast and UTICAD, and also follow Tony's also Black and White TV as well. Super chats are open as well. Just join on there. The link's on the top, just 99p. And if you like to super chat, it is always open as well. Hi to Sophia as well. She came up that disappeared. Hi to Sophia. Hope you're well. Do follow Sophia's Talk Football. And hi to Steve as well. Hope you're well. Right. We're going to talk about this, guys. I mean, start with you, Craig. Right, before we go on to Tony. Tony's got a lot to say on this as well. But before we do that, hi to Alan. Hope you're well. And hi to Lee. I hope you're well. Yeah, I mean, it's about this ITK. Now, it's not hardly in June. It's the 5th day of June, right? There's people on there. Now, I'm not going to mention names, right? But there are some people on there, right? Making up stories, saying that we got this player, we got that player. Like, for example, Torsin, right? Torsin, we was after him for 2 weeks. Everyone says a done deal. Gone to Chelsea. Then Mamadashvili, Valencia keeper. Everyone says a done deal. Still at Valencia, yeah? Do you think our fans need to stop posting out rumours, posting out rubbish on social media? And I'm not going to mention names here because I know I've got mates who does this as well. But what's your take on it, Craig?
To be honest, it happens with every club, and there's a lot of speculation that goes around at Bournemouth as well, between the fan base of players signing, players, being looked at, and a lot of it, I would say 99% of it is a load of rubbish. However, one thing I would say is I just rely on two sources now, which is Chris Temple of BBC Radio Solent, and of course Mark McAdam, who is the Sky Sports presenter, does all the transfer shows as well. So you probably will recognise Mark. Might not recognise the name. You would recognise him, if you did a Google search. A lovely, lovely guy. Those are the two people to go to. Now, in a way, do I blame fans for putting out players that they would desire to play for Newcastle or play for Bournemouth? I don't really. It's when people start making up rubbish that they've spoken to somebody or other up the dog and duck arms, and they've this person's turned round and told them that this player's on their way down for medical. It's just not necessary. It's just not necessary. And I did a load of shows going back, not this season just gone, but the season before that. And of course, we were linked with all sorts of different players. And in the end, I was doing all the shows and I was looking at each of the players and going deeper dive whether or not they'd fit the Bournemouth mould. And I thought, half these players aren't coming. Half these players, aren't going to arrive. And, when I did ask Mark McAdam about them, he was like, no, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It was never on the radar. Somebody's made it up. So, yeah, to be honest, it happens. It happens with all clubs, really, mate.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's go to comments as well. Big up to Steve. I see you doing the live stream for Flawless Tamani, Sarkison City. I watched that channel. It's good to watch. You know what? I'm looking forward for Flawless Comedy Show tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So do not miss it, guys. It's a big name YouTuber as well. Inasli Gunnar, Northside, Max Guna, Jez, yeah, and also Saeed as well. And Ma, so don't miss him tomorrow. Join the channel tomorrow, Anita, because I tell you what, he is amazing. This is a guy I love to chat to. Big up to Man Mag. Hope you're well, mate. Good to see you as well. Excuse me. I don't even believe Sky Sports. I'll wait and see what happens. Isaac Bruno, etc. Press didn't had a clue. And all it is, Tony, right? I mean, look, I saw your video on Saturday, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad you did that, by the way. Well done, you. And the fact is, right, I mean, there's a lot of our fan base, right? I'm not going to mention names, right? But making out rubbish on social media. Yeah, like I said, I know some of the people on there. If that's what I want to do, cool, go for it. But on our channel, we don't see things like that. We speak facts. We don't spout rubbish on my channel, your channel, Kirk's channel. Yeah. And I tell you one thing, right? We wait and see what comes out. Unless they come to the club, unless they got that scarf up, we believe in absolutely nought.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Look, I put the video out. A lot of people said I had a lot of balls to put that out there. I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care if the, and I'll name the guy, the likes of Casey, slanders me on Twitter. He can do what he likes, because at the end of the day, that guy is one of the worst of all. The amount of crap that he spouts off, you know. Okay, yes, okay, he could say various amounts of the media had we down for signing Torsen. But, you know, and okay, I get that. Some people might say, well, he's only got it from the media. Yeah, okay, but what about other players that are supposed to have signed and have never, ever turned up at the club? You know, like last season, there was players that were supposed to be signing. He spouts the same rubbish time after time after time. And at the end of the day, I'm getting sick of it. And I'll tell you why I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it for the sake of our fans. Because I go on that, you look on Twitter, you look at some of his posts he puts up, you see fans on there, they're asking him questions as if he knows, as if he's talking to their agents or whatever, you know, and it's cringy, because I think, why are you asking this guy questions when he hasn't got a clue himself, you know? I mean, who is his sources? Is it Heinz Tomato Ketchup? Is it Hellman's Mayonnaise? Is it HP sauce? You know, there is other sources available, obviously, in mix, but, you know, who is his source? It's one of those, isn't it? Because it's got to be, you know, or does he read it off the back of a cornflake packet? You know, I mean, honestly, it really does irate me. And I feel for our fans, because a lot of fans get their hopes built up thinking, oh, wow, look, such and such has come at the club. Oh, this is going to be a cracking sight. What a great transfer window this is going to be. And then that player's going to go elsewhere. And you're going, and the way I look at it is, why would you put yourself out there in that position to say, look, such and such has come to the club, then they're not. And then to get a whole load of abuse. Because I tell you what, I wouldn't do it. And if some, like I said in my video on Saturday, if somebody said to me, I would rather, instead of you doing rumours, I'd rather you say, oh, well, this player's coming, that player's coming. No, I won't, because I will not lie to my viewers. And if my viewers wanted me to do that, I'd walk away, pack up YouTube and say, off you go, I'm not doing it. When I do a transfer show, every transfer show I do, and you can look back through every transfer show that I do, I always say these are rumours. These are not signing, these are rumours, as per media. When we have a look at the players, have a look at their strengths, their weaknesses, their stats, how they assisted, you know, or if it's a keeper, how many goals conceded, how many saves they've made, all this, we look into the stats. And it's, you know, and it's not to say that those players are signing, you know, likes of us, likes of you, John, likes of Tool Review, likes of Pete Proudlock, we all tell it as it is, facts. We do not lead anybody up the garden path, never would do, and I would be absolutely mortified if I ever thought that I had led somebody up the garden path. I would be absolutely mortified, because I want viewers to come to my channel or your chat or any of the channels and see that we are speaking truth. Because when you've got people like Casey spouting off bull rubbish, bull crap every time, then it gives us YouTubers a bad name, because people start saying, oh, well, it's the YouTubers are just as bad as well. No, we are not. Do not tar us with the same brush as what he is. You know, he's trying to be Fabrizio Romano. He'll get nowhere near Fabrizio Romano. Yes, Fabrizio gets stuff wrong. Like when we were signing João Pedro from Watford. He had it nailed on. Here we go. And then within 24 hours, it was completely bollocks, because we went for Isak instead. So, look, even the best ones can get it wrong, you know, and probably, and no disrespect to Casey, but I think Fabrizio Romano's got a lot more sources and intel above than what even Sean Casey would ever have in his lifetime, you know. So, as far as I'm concerned, I would say, look, enjoy the transfer shows when we do the rumours, when we look at players who are linked. It's not to say they're coming. The only time you can see when the player's official, when you see the official statement from Newcastle United that states a player has signed, and you see the official photographs of them standing in St James's Park with a shirt on, with a scarf above their head, saying, "Welcome to Newcastle United." That is when you know a player has signed. But until then, any rumours you see, take it with a pinch of salt, because that's all it is. It's a pinch of salt until it actually happens. Till that player dots the I's and crosses the T's.
Fact. Absolute fact. Well said, man. Because I'll tell you what, right? I mean, half of these people on social media don't even watch the Spanish league or the Portuguese league or the Italian league, right? And some of the fans have never heard of this man Philly before. Yeah? Let's be real, right? No one don't watch sport in Lisbon. No one in our fan base don't watch Bologna. Let's be real about it. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, you got to do your research, right? And find out what the player is. People say, oh, he's great. Get him in, get him in, get him in. Yeah. It's easy to watch on YouTube, but you watch the whole thing. Yeah. It's as simple as that. I'll go through the comments, by the way. I do apologize, guys. Newcastle owners know they wanted the summer transfers and they're quietly doing their business without the media know our business. Alan, facts. Thank you very much, man. That's a brilliant comment. Big up to Mama Flossie. Mods, how are you? And a friend as well. Hope you're well. And everyone's bigging her up as well, which is great. Shows some love to Mama as well. And she's always on Instagram as well. And well spoken, Tony. 100% never true was spot on, man. Absolutely spot on. Good, thanks as well. Even to Carlos, I hope you're well, mate. And even to Carlos as well. And I watched Tottenham's first channel and I said, will 2 trophies and top 4 be good? He said, a trophy, yes, but top 4 not enough. Spurs must a win-win, but I don't think they can. They're better teams than top 4 is realistic. For me, Steve, I want a cup this season. I'll be happy taking top 6 and win a trophy because elite sports is all about winning the trophies, yeah? I know people's going to say, oh, we got to be patient, blah, blah, blah. No, 55 year, we haven't won a trophy. 69 year, you haven't won a domestic trophy, yeah? That's a long damn time, yeah? Let's be honest about it. I'm not going to lie. Big up to Jabba Dabba. Hope you're well, mate. And hi to Collis again as well. Yeah, so for me, right, I'm going to go back to you, Craig, as well. My opinion is just wait until it's on the dotted line, number one. Secondly, right, don't make up stories, right? There's too many to name, yeah? But at the end of the day, that's why Newcastle don't say anything, right? They do their business quietly, yeah? And when we get a signing coming in, when the fee's been agreed, right, even... I'm going to mention the 2 names as well. Graham Bailey is one of them, and also Damish Singh for Sky Sports. Well, Damish Singh came out and said that let's come Madrid, and I think there's another club this afternoon as well. It might be Lazio, or could be wrong, right? Saying they're interested in Lloyd Kelly as well. Yeah, right, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, even Sky Sports gets it wrong as well.
Yeah, they do. And the reason being is there can be lots of changes at the 11th hour. How many times have we watched transfer deadline day and there's a player that is being rumoured and having a medical somewhere, and then some other team do jump in and take that player from that club? So there is times when Sky Sports or BBC or whoever will get it wrong. I just don't see. I completely agree with you, Tony. I just don't see the benefit of people making up crap just to get clicks. And you know, I'm quite happy, and I've done it before, where I have run through all the rumours and gone through. You know, okay, this player. You know, what's he like? But they are all rumours until they're in the Bournemouth shirt being confirmed at Dean Court. It is a rumour. You know, like the Lloyd Kelly situation. It has come out today that he's leaving the club. He's not on the retained list. But until that point, it was all rumours whether or not he'd be leaving. We had an inkling. We thought what was going to happen, but until that point, until it's confirmed by the club, anything could happen. You know, the club could try and get him on a new contract. He might have a desire to stay, and it might just be some rubbish at circling. We've seen that before. There's so much rubbish that comes out. Ryan Fraser, for example, when he was at Bournemouth, and of course he didn't sign that contract extension with ourselves to play through the COVID matches. That's why he is universally hated by Cherries fans, and I don't think anybody can blame us. I don't think Newcastle fans are particularly too fond of him now either. But the thing was the rumor was that he was going to go to Arsenal. He didn't, and again, it was completely, where was the sources? Where were the sources for that rumor? It was just something that was circling round and round and round and round and round. It sounded like that there was, an approach by Arsenal at one point. That is, something that sounds, but nobody can confirm that. Nobody can confirm that. And it never happened anyway. Even though you probably do wish it did now. But yeah, I think I'm completely on Tony's side on this. It doesn't add anything to the conversation. There used to be a fan, in our fan base. I nicknamed him Bullshit Bill because at the end of the day, he would just make up any old rubbish just to get attention. And I think he got one right out of 24. And the reason being he got one out of 24 right is because a broken clock can, get right once a day, isn't it? Let's be honest. I think it was probably even more than that. He probably predicted even more players, but he wasn't telling me, and he was telling other people instead. But yeah, unfortunately there's those people out there, and that's why I say Newcastle, you're going to have two reputable sources. Ours here is Chris Temple and Mark McAdam. Those are the people that you should take the most credence from, that you feel, take the most, paying most attention to. But again, until they're in a Bournemouth shirt, even though Mark McAdam might turn around and say, this is happening and, things are progressing well, things could change with that player. There's no reason why we couldn't be in for a player when almost got him signed. He's gone for his medical, and then say, for example, yourselves come in, and he thinks, well, instead of going to Bournemouth, I'd rather go to Newcastle. Signs for yourself. These things happen, and so that's why take it with a pinch of salt until that player is in the shirt.
Yeah, facts. Absolutely, Craig. You're absolutely right, mate. I mean, I can't really add to that because you covered everything there, man. So let's go on to Alan. Hi to Alan. Good news. Isak staying with no intention moving anywhere. And 14th of June, Carlos, thanks, Clarky, for that. Bruno is safe. Man City with FFP, got to talk about it later on. Rumored to be relegated, and I think Leeds should replace for them as well. We're going to talk about that. Big up to Tangy, by the way. Hope you well. Long time no here, man. I hope you're good. Just pop to say hi. The rumours, gossip, the media, the ITKs drive you crazy, so choose to wait until it's official. In Italian, officiale. It's lazy journalism and clickbait on media services. Time to don't be a stranger, my guy. Make sure you come back on my channel, okay? Make sure, because you haven't seen it for a long time, man. And Spurs will struggle to get in the top four next year. They have European football, not like this season, playing one game a week. You know what? Playing one game a week, I think if I'm honest, it looks a lot better. I'd rather be in Europe, to be fair. As I've said before, I don't click on these links. More interested in reading the comments, lads. You know what it is, Gary? You're absolutely right. Do you want Fraser back? Bargain at 50 mil just for the cherries.
No, do you know what? Do you know what? I'd rather anything back than Ryan Fraser. You make a list. You make a list, John. I'll tell you what. I'd rather it back than Ryan Fraser. The man is hated down here. He is just, honestly, he's. The thing was it wasn't so much that him moving and him leaving the club. It was that Eddie Howe gave him his opportunity in football. Without Eddie Howe, Ryan Fraser would be a nobody. But Eddie Howe helped him. He got him through. He only played six games in the season we was promoted. But, of course, built his career up, become a Premier League player. And then he basically shot Eddie in the back. And I was surprised when Eddie went to Newcastle. I was surprised that Eddie gave Ryan Fraser a second chance. And then Ryan Fraser did the same to Eddie again. So it shows the caliber of the man. It really does, John. It shows the caliber of the man. I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. I'm sure you've had players like that you would think, yeah, I would never welcome them back. They're universally hated, and that's all there is to it, really. But yeah, Ryan Fraser, yeah, he can stay down the M27 where he's going to get relegated with the Saints next year.
Yeah, or probably cook him. Absolutely cook this guy. Yeah, wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Cook him. Just cook him.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Do you know what? I'm hoping they're going to get a couple of 9-0 batterings with a Ryan Fraser own goal thrown in there as well for a treat.
Fair dues. Let's go on. Oh no, yeah, we're going on one on him. Oh yeah, bless you. Lloyd Kelly, you're going to talk about Lloyd as well. Never rated him as a centre back, but it's a good footballer. If he goes to St James's Park, Howe would get the best out of him, and I think it's a perfect left back or defender as a Magpie as well. So that's the case, Mr. Harrison. Hi to you. I'm not even interested in rumours, gossips anymore. I just want hardcore facts and the truth. Hardcore facts and the truth. Yes. Or have a 2 weeks holiday, man, and just forget about X. That's what I do. Wish him all the best as well. That's a Matt. The broken clock is right twice a day. And it's a 24-hour clock. That's in Clarky. Let's move on. Craig, I hope you get some signings this season, but beware, Chelsea is sniffing.
Oh yeah, they are.
They are sniffing.
This is the rumor, and Milos Kerkez. There was an Instagram post. Now, I can't tell you much about this Instagram post because I looked at it once and then I just clicked straight off it and I was just like, what will be, will be. But it was basically a hint towards something. And unfortunately, Milos is a youngster. He's probably not fully matured as a footballer. And he is going to make these mistakes. Now, is he being directed by his agent? In fact, it's a very interesting thing, this, because, like I say, about the Ryan Fraser situation, I spoke to David Beckham's old agent, the agent that got David Beckham to go from Manchester United to Real Madrid. His name's Andy Banal. And he's turned round to me and he was explaining how agents work and how they orchestrate things. And I said, do you reckon that Ryan Fraser decided to make that decision on his own? Or do you believe it was the agent who turned around and told him not to sign? And he said, I don't think. He said, I know that's what happened. So agents are very, very murky. They're very, very dirty. And unfortunately, it does seem to be that maybe something has happened with Kerkez. Maybe it's a suggestion from an agent. Maybe Kerkez is just a bit naive, not mature. Who knows? But yeah, that's highlighted, the brought out the attentions of Chelsea. If Kerkez wants to move on, I think we should, as long as we get a decent fee for him, we shouldn't stand in his way. And that's more than what we've paid for him. Now, if we don't get that fee, then he's going to have to stay put. He's got a contract here at AFC Bournemouth. And that's why I think players should honour the contracts that they are given. If you sign a contract for 4 years, you should honour that, as a football player. Unless in extreme circumstances, say for example, Berry situation or something, really untowards happens at that football club, you should honour that contract. But I don't believe. I think if it is Chelsea who do come in for Milos Kerkez, then I think they will probably offer more than we've paid for him. It's then a case of who do we bring in. completely agree with Matt there. I'm quite relieved. I'm quite relieved at this moment in time, whisper it quietly, that nobody is looking at our other young centre back, because he, I think, is going to be even better than Kirkes. He is going to be possibly, and I'll say this now, and you can watch this video back in a couple of years' time. He is going to be one of the best centre backs in the world. I'd have money on that. And that's Ilya Zabanier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Check out for him as well. No doubt about it. And just go on to the comments as well. Kirkes, so young players moved about a lot. So I don't think loyalty is a strong point, but his agent will be feeling these stories. 50 mil would be good for the price as well. I got one on Twitter.
That, isn't it? It's the money side. His agent is trying to get more money for Kirkes, which is good for him as an individual. But each time he moves, what will happen is he'll get a percentage of the transfer fee for arranging that deal. Say for example, if Bournemouth receive the whole 50 million, he might get 5 million from Chelsea straight direct. So how they all work out, I don't know. But all I know is that there is something significant in there for the agent. You read back at some of the, and I tell you one of the most interesting agents to actually read that back about, and it's Google his name. Well, it might be a struggle actually Googling his name, but it's Kia Jubarakin, who of course was the man who got Tevez to West Ham United all those years ago. And of course that highlights, to be honest, back then that was odd. That was odd for the Premier League. Now, would that be so much of an odd deal? I don't think it would be. And I think that's how football has changed. There's a lot more in it for the agents. The agents, each time one of their players moves, they're making a pretty packet that they could probably live on for a year or two or 3 or 10.
Fantastic stuff. Let's go another topic now. But I've got one here from on Twitter, Dazza. I am Daz 111. Big up to you, Dazza, on Twitter. If you can come on YouTube and leave comments in there, that would be amazing. Thanks so much indeed. Good shout, mate, and definitely yes. That's right, Lloyd Kelly and Big L123 from Canada. Geordie, yes, a lot is pure speculation and it is garbage. So there you go. So let's go. Go on, Tony.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is watching Maresca be sacked from Chelsea by Christmas. Because I'm telling you now, he will not be there before. He'll not be there after Christmas. I'm telling you that now, John. He's not that good a manager. I'm sorry, he's not. He struggled with Leicester at times in the Championship. And I'll tell you now, results don't go their way. He will be sacked. And the Leicester fans will be laughing all the way because they'll be saying, you've jumped ship to go to Chelsea. Well, it hasn't worked out. Tough.
Yeah, fact. Absolute fact. And big up to Mason, by the way. I hope you well. I'm not going to read the next comment because he is not the final. The final captain's Okun Koku. He is the club captain. Yeah, and I'm not going to read that. I'm sorry. You're not going to fool us, right? I'm not going to mention the name, right? You find it for yourself, chat. I'm not going to mention his name. So you can get to the bin. But thanks for the exposure, by the way, my guy. Hi to Julie as well. Julie J, hope you're well, mate. Hi to George and Ian and Julie as well. And go first, well. And big up to Mason. And just go fly as well. Got one for John as well. Big up to you, Jay. I think he's a big goon as well. Spend a lot of amounts like 50 million on prune players who soon stop over the next few years with financial fair play. Will bring transfer fees down as a whole, I think. And John, I think you could be right, mate. I think you could be right.
I think it needs to, John. I think it needs to, because at the end of the day, the market as it sits at the moment is going to explode at some point.
Gary. Agree with you.
And I think we're going to have a situation, hopefully it's neither of our clubs. I don't believe it will be. I think both of our clubs, firstly, You know, you have got a lot of wealth behind your club, but at the same time, it's being run in the right way. It's not being run as a plaything. You know, it's being run sensibly, Newcastle. Likewise, ourselves, I don't think we are, going overboard, although we still have a very small stadium. But of course, as part of FFP, stadium costs don't come into it. So I think we'll be okay. But I think it will explode at one point. And I tell you the team that it'll explode. And I tell you what, if they do explode and have to sell a lot of players and, get all sorts of financial penalties, and the owners, no doubt, this football club will lose interest because they won't be in Europe. I tell you the one club, and it will surprise everybody, is Chelsea. Is Chelsea, because there's only so long you can carry on running it that way. And I agree completely with Tony about Maresca. I think Maresca got Leicester in a position where they were 17 points clear at the top of the championship. This was from second place. They should have got the points record. They should have sewn up the title well early. But the case that they limped over the line, yes, they still won the title, but the case that they just limped over the line is personally not good enough. It's not good enough. And I'm very, very surprised that Chelsea have taken a punt on him. But it's the way that Chelsea are being run for a long, long period of time, getting players on these long-term contracts. The thing is, every player has got the value of that player decreases over time. That player will decrease over time normally. Say, for example, you sign a 19-year-old star. We signed Kirkes. Let's take Kirkes, for example. There was no guarantees that Kirkes was going to make it in the Premier League. If he didn't make it in the Premier League, what would we have lost? We would have lost maybe 10 million. Maybe 10 million. We could have probably still sold him on for a bit, but we could have still made a loss. The fact he has, is besides the point. Chelsea are doing it in a whole different league, that they're buying players for 100 million. Now, if that player, that young player, then fails, of course, their value is going to decrease over time as they get older. It should go up, but 100 million doesn't give you a lot of scope to actually get an extra amount, especially with FFP coming in. I think even if, say for example, what's the player that they signed for 100 million? 105 million, wasn't it? I'm trying to think. Enzo something, isn't it? He'll come to me in a minute.
Enzo Fernandez.
That's it. Thanks, Tony. Enzo Fernandez. Even if he does really, really well in the Premier League, because of FFP, they're not going to get that 105 million back. That money has gone to waste, and eventually, it's going to explode at Chelsea. And that's why I think the owners will get disinterested because they won't get Europe. Newcastle could be regulars in European football at that point. Hopefully Bournemouth, we can toy with Europe at some point. But at the same time, I think Chelsea, because they will lose interest, they'll have all this money, they'll have all these debts, and I think it could end up in tears for them.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
The thing is, Craig, Todd Bowley's a bit of a loose cannon, if you ask me. The amount that he goes out and spends on players is ridiculous. But it's not only the fact of that. It's a fact the way he cheats as well, because he sells his own hotels back to himself, so he gets out with FFP. And it's so corrupt. That's the thing. And obviously they can put these players whatever on these long contracts because that doesn't interfere with Europe. The only thing UEFA did put a stop on was the payments over 5 years. You can't pay over 5 years. So if you want to make a payment over 6-7 years, you can't do that no more, because that's what Bowley was doing. These clubs saying, we'll pay over 7 years or whatever, so you can get around the FFP thing. But now UEFA's put a stop to that. and said, no, you can't. It's a maximum 5 years making your payments. You can't make them any longer than 5 years. So, you know, it's unbelievable. But the way Chelsea are run, since Bowley's gone on there, I mean, it's ridiculous how many players they've bought. You know, they've been through 3 managers.
Yeah.
Potter, obviously they sacked Tuchel. Then they took Potter on.
Yeah.
Then they sacked Potter. Then Frank Lampard came back, you know. And then he's gone, you know. And then they get Pochettino, and who takes him into Europe, and then he gets sacked, you know. And now they've brought Maresca in, who's untried and tested in the Premier League.
He's going to get cooked. Cook him.
And I'll tell you now, if he starts off rubbish, let's just say, if Chelsea don't win in that first 10 games, he could be out the door then.
Well, I tell you what, the one thing that you have mentioned there, and this is really interesting as well, when you look at it, is that he is selling, like you say, assets back from the club to himself and then pay. There's some sort of arrangement. Now, there's 4 teams that have done similar, and you can tell me what the similarity between all these teams are. Derby County, Sheffield Wednesday, Reading, and Wigan Athletic. What is, no, sorry, 5. Bolton Wanderers did it as well. What is the similarity between all 5 of those teams? Is that they went into complete and utter financial freefall after doing that. They overspent. Every single one of those clubs overspent. They spent on silly, silly players, silly wages, overdid it. They sold their assets back to their owners. The owners lost interest. I don't know what's happened with Chancery. Of course, Derby was sold. Reading are in the middle of getting sold. Wigan, I don't actually know what's going on with Wigan. And Bolton were close to ended up in the Bury sort of situation. That is why football needs this independent regulator, because effectively, I could see that happening to Chelsea. Now, Todd Bowley gets bored of Chelsea Football Club. He wants to sell that football club. Now, he's got the assets. So he's got the training ground, he's got the stadium, he's got all the bits around. So all that somebody is buying is the club name. But that club name has got attributed to it £500 million worth of debt. All it is a shell. All it is a shell. Todd Bowley owns the stadium and everything else. He can do whatever. He can charge rent to Chelsea. That's how it happens. And this is why I'd be very, very fearful as a Chelsea fan at this moment in time, because they're on a hiding to nothing. If this doesn't work, if Maresca doesn't pull it off, it's going to be another case of, well, Leeds did it, all right, it was a smaller scale, a lot earlier in time. Portsmouth did it in the Premier League. There's no reason why Chelsea, are immune from that. There's no reason why any team in the Premier League is immune from that. Another team who's going to be the litmus test, I think, in the next, if they don't get their everything over the line, is Everton. Everton are probably going to be the litmus test, where if they don't get that 777 deal over the line, they're going to be in all sorts of problems.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Everton's in big bother at the minute, absolute big bother. But
apparently that deal's not going through now, apparently.
No, it's not. You're right, Tony. It's not gone through. It's not gone. It's completely.
What happens though?
I think Moshri said that. I think he was speaking the other day in an interview, and I think he said, "Look, they just have to see what they can do now and look for somebody else maybe to buy the club." But so in other words, I don't think he's got the money to keep putting into that club, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in administration next season. I really wouldn't, with a new stadium as well.
I think you're right, Tony. I think you're so right. I mean, that doesn't look good for the club at all, and they got a new stadium as well in hand. So we'll see what happens on them soon. And when the fixture list gets released, if there's anything to go by, our season's fixture list, I'll be thinking they are trying to suppress us as a football club. Tanji, I think you're right, mate. And it feels if things do go down in wages, also as well, then there's real risk to just flood Saudis with the players. It depends whether they go to the Saudis or not. We shall see. Chelsea have zero respect for managers. Big up to Bradley, by the way. Hope you well. Admin for Magpie Media. First time here. Hoping my personal YouTube account. Big up to Bradley as well. And Bradley, I'll retweet your stuff as well. You know, you're not saying you, mate. You're the real one, mate. You are the real one.
Yeah.
I will keep retweeting your posts because, Bradley, if you don't follow Magpie Media, right, guys, do give him a follow. He is a fantastic guy, and he always sends a DM. I'll be happy to.
I do follow him, John.
Great guy. He's a great guy. You know, he gets a lot of stick, but you know what? He doesn't deserve stick at all. He is the real one. He is the real one. Big up to Dave Bowman as well. We hate to see Chelsea get Mamadashvili as well. I'm very interested to see who we end up signing for the right wing. Linked with so many. Yes, we are. And we are. They've got quite a few as well. Big up to AD as well. Chelsea's to investigate it. Oh, they will. Don't worry about that. Hi to Joe. I hope you're well. Hi to Leah Kane. Chelsea all over the place. No ideas. Cockney crap. Chelsea are a club where the manager doesn't have the freedom to control the team. That the board has all the power. They just want a yes man or why man. Even to my dog, Mag. I hope you well. No, call Mag dog there, didn't I? I'm getting used to the share of the channels. No, I'm thinking on getting mass blocked like on X. Roddles, you know what, mate? Sharing the channels is really good. Big up to Craig Lee. Hope you're well. Hi to Goatfather. I forgot to say hi to him. Foxy. How do Bournemouth fans feel about Kirk Kersey's overall? He was one I hope we would sign when he was in Eredivisie. And I tell you what, he's a really good player. Yeah. That's Matt. He's chatting to Matt.
He's a little bit. He's a little bit rash though. I think, you know, there's been times during the season where, you know, he's made the wrong calls. He recently got sent off. You know, it was a stupid thing to do. You know, personally, I think there is that maturity level that he needs to improve on that. But he is a good player. You know, he will hopefully become a good player. I think what he needs, and like Justin Kluivert's found, is that little bit of stability, little bit of, you know, because Justin Kluivert's never really, until he's come to Bournemouth, you know, found somewhere where he's excelled and flourished. He has now. So as long as he stays with Bournemouth, you know, gets better and better and better, then he will probably get his move and his dream move. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does choose to go to Newcastle at some point, because to follow his father's footsteps. So yeah, I think there is that aspect to him as well. I think, you know, would he have been a good signing for Newcastle? I think it probably would have been better for him to join Newcastle than Chelsea, you know, if that's going to happen. Because I think Eddie, working under Eddie, he will get time. He will get, you know, a lot more coaching. And Eddie's very good at bringing players through, as you've seen there. And, you know, as we saw here, you know, he will bring players through. You look at what he's done with Joe Linton. He's turned him from a player who nobody would touch with a barge pole to somebody who's real quality.
Yeah, 100%, my guy, 100%. And see what pans out there. Bowley hasn't broken any rules. Devil hasn't cheated. The financials may well catch up with them, though that's some key 88. Big up to you, man. And yeah, so that's the case. And then some of this one, the club should get John on a t-shirt doing this cooking FFP wouldn't be a problem. Cooked. I'll tell you what though, if it's my way, I'll cook the Premier League at Richard Masters. I'm cooking like a roast potato. And you got to Bradley. Listen, do follow Bradley Magpie Media. Thank you so much indeed. And it's hi to Ron. Cancel for 9. Yeah, that's interesting. Man Marg as well. Evening, lads. And John, I see you in a black and white top. Thank you very much indeed. Hopefully one day you win a trophy as well, Mr. Watson. Let's hope you win a trophy. Sell Chelsea to the scrap. You got to love Alan, haven't you? I wonder if any Chelsea fans are watching the live podcast. I hope they do. I hope Chelsea fans TV do as well. I really do, because I do like Alex as well. Everton owe 7-7 a shit ton of money. I believe it's
Yeah.
200 M's, Tony. 200 M's that owe them.
A lot of money, John, a lot of money. I mean, look, John, right. The thing is, we've seen Man City are taking the Premier League to court. They're suing them, right?
Man City.
Right. So they're not, well, they're taking them to arbitration. Now then, this is where things get a bit interesting because, right, the Premier League, when you do arbitration, as we know this as fans ourselves, because when our takeover was going through, when it was going to go to arbitration, we wouldn't have heard anything from that arbitration because that was going to be behind closed doors, completely cut off from everybody. And it wasn't until we had that cat hearing, that cat case, and that's when things picked up rapidly after that, because I think the Premier League were then backed into a corner, especially when you know, when the lawyer spoke up for Newcastle and said the Premier League wanted to kick us out 6 months prior to that. So I think the Premier League, after all that came out, I think they saw that's why I think our takeover went through so quickly, and other things got resolved quickly as well. But anyway, going on to this Man City business now, we know they're taking them to arbitration, right? There's a couple of factors here. Now, this arbitration is supposed to be behind closed doors that nobody knows about. We'll not even know the outcome of this arbitration, okay, in the public domain. What's happened here is, though, and I think this is what's happened, and I may be wrong, but people may correct me on this. What I think is, I think one of the Premier League clubs has leaked a bit of information out, which is what Matthew Lawton picked up on and has put it out there. Because nobody would have known about this had that information not been leaked, because the arbitration in the Premier League, they do not like it done in public. They want it done behind closed doors that nobody knows anything. There could be other arbitrations that are going on behind closed doors that we know nothing about. So the fact that this has been put out there suggests to me that a club has leaked some information out. But proving which club it is, it's probably going to be hard because, you know, they probably don't want to be named and shamed. I say good on to that club, whoever's leaked it, by the way. Now, this Man City thing, that what they're doing is, I think it's a great move. Because I'll tell you why. They are right what they are saying. Why are you paying a fair market value for somebody, that a company that you own within your business? Why can't they sponsor you for more than what the Premier League say is a fair market value? Now, we know why this came about, because when we were taking over, we still had that Sports Direct plastered all over the stadium. Then Amanda Staveley, I think it was about 3-4 weeks into the ownership, she said, I am sick of this. I can't have a photograph anywhere in the stadium without Sports Direct in the bloody background. So the next thing Amanda Staveley said, get the skips in, get rid of these signs because I'm sick of them. The minute we started taking those signs down, that rang alarm bells through the Premier League. And the first team to pipe up over that was Leicester City. Yes, you got it, Leicester City. Leicester City, straight away, we want rules changes on sponsorships because, look, we can't have this. They're going to have sponsorships coming in 60, 70 million pound a season, and we need to put a stop to that before it gets out of hand. So Leicester were the main instigators in a vote. Now, it's like the pot calling the kettle, because at the end of the day, their stadium, whose name's on that stadium? Their company, King Power. Who's on their shirts? King Power. Now then, okay, we know they lost a lot of money through COVID because obviously they're a duty-free outfit. But when Leicester come out and said that, and they got relegated as well, which is absolutely hilarious, to be fair, about this as well. I mean, I know they're back up into the Premier League now, and they're getting a deduction. But look, when it all came out that they were going to do this fair market value, I looked at this and I thought, I mean, at the time, I thought, how can they do this? Because surely that's against the law. but obviously it mustn't be. So anyway, they brought this out, and it just meant that we couldn't have, like, say, for instance, Aramco coming in and saying, we'll sponsor St James's Park for £80 million a season. Seller couldn't put on our shirts on our shirt sponsor, or we'll pay you £50 million a season for the front of the shirt. That's what this vote stopped us doing. So technically, when Seller put 25 million a season, Richard Masters looked at that, Tricky Dicky as I call him, looked at that, and he turned around and he said, okay, well, we'll let you have it for 25 million. But had it been, say, anything more than that, it would have got rejected. Now, I don't like this fair market value thing. I think it's wrong. And I agree with Man City on this. Because at the end of the day, why shouldn't we? Yes, I know why they're doing it, because they don't want us to get the funds so we can go out and spend more money on players, because the FFP then rises. I don't care. If Man City win this case, and apparently Newcastle United are supporting Man City on this as well, by the way, that is one of the rumours going around, which I can quite believe we would probably be, because whenever we abstain from a vote for something, Man City abstain as well. So it's interesting. Now, the way I look at this is, if Man City win this arbitration hearing, which is going to last for 2 weeks, it starts next week, I believe, and it lasts for 2 weeks. Now, whether we hear anything from it, I do not know. Will somebody come out and say something from one of the clubs? We don't know. That's the thing. It really stinks when it's a closed shop, because it shouldn't be a closed shop, because it should be public. Okay, you might not want to sit through listening to 2 weeks of arbitration, because it will be probably very boring.
Take 6 weeks, Tony. It's going to take 6 weeks. Sorry, it's going to take up
no,
to
it's 2 weeks, John.
It's 2 weeks. Isn't it? Sorry,
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, that was what was said on TalkSport as well. That it's going to last for 2 weeks, this arbitration. It might, whether it'll be 6 weeks for a decision, that could be the thing, John, but I don't know. But the arbitration lasts for 2 weeks. But if they do scrap this amendment, then look, it's great news, because it just opens up more opportunities for us to get the bigger sponsors in. And while I don't think this FFP is fair, because I don't think it is, if I'm honest with you, right? When you see the likes of Everton getting deducted points, you're seeing Forest deducted points. You know, you're seeing Leicester coming up and getting deducted points when they come up. Sheffield United are going to get deducted points. Sometimes I think this FFP does more harm than it actually does good. And, you know, eventually, is it going to come to a point one day where this FFP is going to end up seeing relegate somebody from the Premier League because they're going to lose their points? Like, say, for instance, if, right, Leicester get hit with a 10-point deduction at the start of the season, there is some rumour saying 15 points, but I don't know how many it is. Just say for 10 points, right? They've got to win their first 4 games just to break even, or to be a couple of points ahead, 2 points above, right? Now then, if Leicester struggle and they go down because of that 10-point deduction, now what happens if something happens to their club, and when they go into the Championship, they then end up in administration because of that 10-point deduction, and because of all the money they've lost, they then can't afford to pay for players in the Championship, say, and they go into administration. You know, this is where I think the FFP, I think one day, could send somebody into administration. Where is it going to stop? I think it's anti-competitive. I think the fair market value thing's anti-competitive. It's all anti-competition. You know, at the end of the day, it's like saying, for instance, you've got Sainsbury's at one end of the high street. You've got Tesco's at the other end of the high street. Tesco's get bought out by, say, a massive American company, and then that American company starts throwing money into the business. Does Sainsbury's then turn around and say, oh, we can't have that happening because we need fair market value? It wouldn't happen, because it would be thrown out, it would be laughed at. So, because it's in the Premier League, And I agree with Man City. I don't think these rules are right, and I think they need to be scrapped. I seriously do. I mean, what's your take, John, on that? What I've said?
I kind of agree, because I'll tell you what, right? I think they're going to take them on, but you can't stop people bringing in money to the club. You just can't do that. It's restricted trade. Do you know what I mean? But I tell you one thing: if Man City wins this, Tony, if they win this, it's 50-50. But I hope Man City wins it. I really, really do. Because I tell you now, if they win that, it could open the whole thing up for Newcastle as well. So that means Man City could spend freely. Newcastle United's going to spend freely. Yeah. And I think Richard Masters, we walk, he'll be out the door. He'll resign over it. Do you know what I mean? And that will make our day. But I tell you what, it's going to be a stark win. And Man City pulls it off, I hope they do, then, woo, the Premier League is going to be one big mess. I'm telling you that right now. And the Premier's got to be prepared for this. Man City's going out all guns blazing, yeah? They could have just said, you know what, we take it on now. But they took the time, buying the time, spoke to the right people. They got the best lawyers in the world. They get the best people in the world. They got the money. They got the the loot. Guess what, Tony? It's going to get messy, but I see City pull us off.
Thing is, John, right? The thing is, right, that if Man City win this case, this could just be the start of things to open up more cans of worms. Because remember, if you go back to when Keith Patterson stood up for our takeover, and he did say one day, he said, if a lot of that evidence got out about the Premier League, there'd be a lot of 6 a.m. door knocks by the men in the blue uniform, putting people in cuffs, like of Richard Masters and that. Now the thing is, right? People laughed at him when he said that, but he's actually being serious. And the thing is, right? If Man City win this could just be the beginning of a lot. It could spell the end of Richard Masters. I mean, look, we know Man United don't want this. Man U don't want this to happen. Obviously, because they're a cartel club. I know Mark Goldbridge has had his say on it, and he's not happy with it. And I thought, well, yeah, I know why you're not happy with it, because you don't want us being above you. That's why. But the thing is, this could put an end to the cartel as well. So, you know, I think it's got to be, and I hope Man City do win it, and I hope they really do smash it out of the park, if I'm honest with you, John, because that's what they need to do. They need to win this case. And look, on TalkSport, they had a financial expert who used to work with Man City, and he said what they're doing. He says, and even he mentioned, he said a lot of this reason the fair market value came in was when Newcastle had the Saudi takeover, because the clubs panicked. The clubs panicked through the Premier League, and I said, and I've said this for a long time, the clubs panicked as soon as Manda Staveley started getting them Sports Direct signs removed. The minute the first one came down, that was when the panic set through the whole lot, and that's why Leicester City shouted their mouths off first.
Richard Masters has made an absolute farce of the Premier League last season. Really, he made an absolute farce, because he's punished Everton, he's punished Forest. You know, there is Manchester City with these 115 charges, but PSR shouldn't have been dictating. Now, there's two ways to look at it. And, you know, actually, you've opened my eyes to this a little bit more, Tony, because I was very much like, Man City, 115 charges. Why are they not being punished? But like you say, if you are to buy a company and you are to put money into that company, why should you be told of how much you can put in, how much you can invest, where the top sponsors are, and why? The biggest argument I've got with Manchester City is, why can't Newcastle do that? Why can't Bournemouth do that? But that all lies down at Richard Masters' door, because he's let Manchester City do it. What he shouldn't be doing, what he needs to be doing. Everton, for example, Everton are in a mess. They've overspent. You know, they've overspent on poor purchases. A lot of it is down to COVID. A lot of it is down to the stadium. Farhad Moshiri doesn't want to invest in the club anymore. That's quite clear. It looks like they're going to end up in administration. if he doesn't find somebody to replace it.
Mm.
But what I would say, and what really needs to happen, is that the Premier League need to go into Everton and help Everton turn it round. Very much like, any club in the EFL. Take Wigan Athletic or Bolton Wanderers or Sheffield Wednesday. They need to go into that football club and work out, look at the finances. In fact, it's quite an interesting topic that come up. And I think it was on
Mm.
Talk Sport. It was muted first. And it was about a golden share. Yep, Simon Jordan. It was probably about 5-6 months ago. And having a golden share in each of the clubs, which is transferred upon promotion and relegation between the EFL and the Premier League. Now, that would enable the league to actually get involved in that football club's finances, to be able to view that finances in its entirety at any point. If, say, for example, they could see a problem at Everton emerging, which, let's be honest, Everton fans quite clearly said whilst they were spending all this money, they should have stepped in. But there's no way you can, because that's happened at Everton. That's one situation. You cannot stop Newcastle
Mm.
because they are a stable club. They're doing things the right way, from spending more money, from actually getting more sponsors in. You've opened my eyes up to it, Tony, because it's something that I was very worried of, at Bournemouth. I don't particularly like that we've got a gambling sponsor on the front of our shirts. But at the same time, you know, if it brings in the money and if there's more money to be made, by getting a sponsor, but we're being prevented, that's wrong.
Mm.
That's wrong. And Manchester City, if Etihad, we know how Man City are built up. The UAE is one of the richest countries in the world, if not the richest. They will plough money in, and Etihad is the national flag carrier of the UAE.
Yeah, I agree.
And very, very nice planes. I've got to say that as well. Being on one, been on them several times actually last year. But I tell you what, if they want to put more money into Manchester City, that is their prerogative. Like Salah, if they want to put more money into Newcastle, that is their prerogative. If
Yeah,
Daffabet want to
agree.
put more money into Bournemouth, again, you know, it shouldn't it should have that fair market value. You should be able to do what you want and be able to compete. And I completely agree. Man United don't want this. They will be adamant that they don't want this because they are part of that old cartel. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool was alongside them in this as well, trying to keep it all together.
Hmm. I agree.
But the
I
thing
agree.
is, the thing is though as well is, like you say, that they don't want this, and that'll be the thing. But like I say, if Man City smash this out of the park, it's going to be absolutely massive. It's the same with your club, Craig. If your owner owns whatever a company, say, and they come in
Yeah,
and say, "Oh, they want to put the sponsorship on your shirt," it's got to go to Richard Masters, and he's got to make sure it's fair market value before he says yes or no to it. And it's wrong. It's wrong. And this is why I think when clubs come up from the Championship, we saw it last season, Burnley, Luton, Sheffield United all went back to the
yes,
Championship, because they are frightened to spend a bit of money to keep ourselves in the league. Yes, we know, okay, Luton brought in Barkley on a free, which was a masterstroke, and it nearly paid off for them. But look, these clubs are coming up now thinking, well, actually, better be careful how much we spend, because if we overspend, we'll end up with a points deduction. And how is the Premier League supposed to be competitive if teams from the Championship who want to come up there and compete and try and stay up there, not just for one season, but for 2, 3, 4, 5, like Brighton have done and things like
yeah,
that, and like Leicester had done before they went down. Huddersfield done it, they came up, stayed up for 2 seasons, went back down. But clubs now are so frightened of FFP and PSR. These owners are so frightened to say, I can't buy this player now because I'm me overspent by £10 million. I mean, you look at Forest last year, they were overspent by 30 million quid. But had they sold Brennan Johnson 3 weeks sooner,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have had this points deduction, and it was for the sake of 3 weeks for Brennan Johnson going to Spurs. If they hadn't have, if they'd have sold him that earlier, they wouldn't have been done for FFP breaches. And I can see why clubs don't want to overspend, and it's so wrong because it's so anti-competitive in my opinion, and and it's never going to change. And how we are trying to play catch up towards this so-called Big Six that they call them, Big Six. Now we are nowhere near the likes of Man City or Man United for revenue. Like okay, with the people say we're the richest club in the world. Not the richest club. We've got the richest owners in the world, but not the richest club. Yeah. To be the richest club, you've got to have the massive amount of revenue. You look at what you go and look at Real Madrid, their sleeve sponsor for next season, £75 million a season. That's what we should be. That's what we want, but we can't get that yet until we get our revenues up, and that's what it's about. I wonder if Richard Masters would see that as fair market value for Real Madrid, but there again, he probably would because he'd have no choice but to put it through. But look, the thing I'm saying is, this is why we're trying to grow the revenue and we're trying to get as much as we can into the club. So we've got Adidas coming back under our former owner. I don't like to mention his name. I call him the Tyrant because that's exactly what he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was a leech on our club. That's what he was, the fat man. And Castor coming in, £5-6 million a year for the supply of the shirts. Now we've got Adidas coming in, £40 million a season. It just shows you the amount of people that the club have employed now. The likes of, we've got Darren Eales there, we've got Peter Silverstone in the commercial department. We've just brought another guy in as well, But under our former owner, Penfold was the one in charge of everything, And it's just unbelievable, how much the club's changed with the new ownership that we've got now. I see new ownership that's been here nearly 3 years now. But you can see what we've done, but gradually we are trying to get it up. And that's why we've now got this fan zone coming in, which is being built at the moment, which hopefully is going to be ready for the new season. Mm-hmm. And that's going to bring in extra revenue for the club as well. So the more we generate, the better for us.
Yeah.
But we've got a long way to catch up. That's what I'm trying to say.
I totally agree there. Let me just come to the comments as well. Sorry. We come back to it in a minute, Craig. So don't hold that thought.
Yeah, no problem at all, mate.
Sorry. Make sure you keep those likes coming through. Make sure you slash your likes as well, please, people. Yeah, we've got 60 people watching the show. Make sure you slash it up. Yeah, thanks so much indeed for that. Good evening. Is it all right if I ask Craig what's his views on Milos? We have discussed him. Linked to United and what's the fee we're taken for? Be 50 million plus. And he has the history of changing clubs as well, mate. So I'll put us down now. We're going to comment on one slightly. And also for Craig, did Bournemouth have a bad injury record? Or Eddie was there? I think they did.
Yeah, to be honest, in that last season, we had in the Premier League, we had a very, very bad injury record. To be honest, we did very, very well before COVID kicked in. We did very well. In fact, if I remember correctly, we actually went 1-0 up against Liverpool in the last game before. Yeah, it was the last game before COVID. But it was after COVID, it all just fell apart when players actually had come back from injury. So Eddie had his hands tied a little bit before COVID. We could have been in a better position, had we not had those players out. But I think to actually get the team restarted, I was worried actually. I've got to be looking back to it. I was a little bit worried about our preparation ahead of coming back. There was a number of teams that went and had, extended training sessions, games against other teams, within the local area. We could have done that. We could have done that. We could have had games against Southampton. Yeah, they were in the same league, but hey ho, teams in the Premier League were doing that. We had Yeovil, even Dorchester Town, whoever, play teams locally, get that fitness back up. because I think that is probably where one of our biggest failings was at the end of that season. And yeah, I think although yes, he did have that it was really that last season where the injuries did come through and hamper us. I think our preparation after, in between, whether or not that was down to Eddie or somebody else, wasn't probably good enough for the restart. But who knows? To be honest, nobody knew what was going to happen at that point. It was all up in the air.
Yeah.
I know that there was lots of teams having friendlies. It just seemed like we were just a bit behind the curve when really we could have gone to Yeovil, we could have gone to Dorchester, Weymouth, whoever. I know it's not the great standard of game. I know it would be behind closed doors. I know that they were playing players that they wouldn't come up against week in, week out. But, even if you got an 8-0 win against Weymouth, at least those players' legs are getting a run out, getting working, getting ready for that restart.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where we failed a little bit at the end of that season.
Yeah, fair enough. Very good comments there. FFP will scrap and go back to always. We could buy any player throughout the season. Lee, I have to agree. What I don't get is, though, you're a professional football club and you can calculate your finance to ensure you can play with FFP and therefore get the deduction. Surely that's incompetence at the club. That's Luke. Big up to you, Luke, by the way, man. That's a fair shout. The current FFP, PSR, whatever they will call it, next on fit for purpose. Can Sheffield United switch, Luton, and even track sponsors like Emirates? Not fair, not fit for purpose. It's for the big clubs.
He's right, John. He's right.
Andy,
The thing is, John, as well.
He's right.
John,
he's right. Man.
The thing is, as well, John.
Yeah.
Eventually, I can see top players, and look, this. I said this a few months ago. I can see eventually top players saying, "Not going to the Premier League. What's the point?" You can only play for a certain club because they might have the finance, but other clubs won't have the finance to take you on. And eventually, players will go off to Saudi and play there instead because that's where the money is, because there's no FFP or nothing. So they can get, high wages and everything like that. So, even in, like Mbappe has gone obviously to Real Madrid, but, could Man City have afforded him? Yes, probably they could have. But maybe they looked and thought the amount of money he's going to be on, if that might even push them close to the limit of FFP. So this is what I'm saying. Eventually, players will end up snubbing the Premier League and going elsewhere. And, and why should we be robbed of having star players in the Premier League because of stupid financial rules like this?
I think Richard Masters has to resign, has to be made to resign, as soon as possible, because at the end of the day, his running of the Premier League is absolutely atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. Firstly, like you say, and what you refer back to with regards to Newcastle situation, completely agree. It's completely unfair when you have got owners who can spend. And Newcastle are not going out and doing a Chelsea. They're not going bonkers.
No.
They're spending wisely. They're spending cleverly. Why should they not be able to invest in the product that they have purchased to actually increase the value of that product at the end? But I think, also with regards to the points deductions as well, he needs to resign. He needs to resign as soon as possible because it is becoming absolutely farcical. If you think Everton are probably going to get a points deduction as well next season, Leicester we've already talked about. Who's next? There was talk. I interviewed, you probably can remember him, Richie Neville from the boy band Five. I interviewed him and I was talking to him about Aston Villa, and he said how imperative it was for Aston Villa to get into the Champions League. If they didn't get into the Champions League, there would have been all sorts of issues with PSR. It's just not fair. It's not fit for purpose. PSR is a complete and utter mess. I can understand it's there to help clubs stay solvent. You know, we don't want another Leeds. We don't want another Portsmouth. We don't want another Everton situation. But at the same time, you should be able to invest in that product because you are going to keep those small clubs small. And it'll be interesting, actually, because Leeds have just had investment from Red Bull. If Leeds United are promoted to the Premier League, if PSR is still in place, I'd be damned if they are going to, Red Bull. Red Bull are not going to comply with PSR whatsoever. They will invest into that football club. They might be called Red Bull Leeds by that point, but it's they are not going to have their hands tied. I can guarantee you that.
100%. They will spend money like graffiti. I'm telling you that for now.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? If you was owned by Ashley, would you still want do you still want the PSL scrap? Yeah, I do. I want it scrapped.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Premier will not supersede the law of the land. That's a myth. We go through this Commonwealth quite a few. I think the Saudis shouldn't accept money from these clubs until the cartel Premier League until Newcastle are respected. Julie's fat. Thank you for that, Julie. Can the team start walking out some money by Floyd now? Justin Craig. Richard Masters getting 2 meaty brown up in his back pocket. Yeah. The only ones Rangers are Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I find it funny with City's arguments, and it isn't fair. Although City have more revenue than Real Madrid, obviously false. And the Premier League and its club never objected to actually own Sports Direct and sponsor our club's 14 year, but the panic is real since we've got the takeover tantrums. Good point. That is a bloody good point, man.
He is spot on, John. He's spot on, John. I mean, do you remember? And
I got to you, man.
John, the advertising wasn't bringing much money in a year because he wasn't paying for it. And then he had the cheek to change our name of our stadium as well.
Yeah. He had the bloody cheek to change to Sports Direct Arena. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sorry, that's a slap in the face of Newcastle fans. And then he knew full well he has to go back to St James's Park. And that was it. So I'm sorry. But, everyone's quiet. We had Ashley's owner. Now we got the PIF. They're just scared. Even the Premier League is scared as well. The Premier League and the Masters are so scared. Get in the bin. Get in the bloody bin. Those Masters as well.
Cook them, John.
Cook them. I'll cook them. Cook them in a bolognese sauce and put the Parmesan cheese on the top, yeah? Then again, don't bother. Have the Parmesan cheese turned into bolognese sauce and bloody mix it up. The lot. Then there's a level field. Then that's a level playing field. No, that's Luke. And every team, the same money, it creates a level playing field, but people won't want that at all. Fair comment, Luke. Dip Masters is protect the big clubs and seems determined nobody can do a City again. Well, I tell you what, it is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Luke's chatting to John. Big up to Dave. I hope you're well, Dave. Hope you're well, mate. There's loads of comments. Just flying them in. It's against anti-competitions restricted with trade. It won't stand up in court. If City weren't doing this, we would have been next capital or whether it's EPL. Thanks, why should the Premier League have to do that though? Stick to the spending rules and you won't get yourself into that situation. That's from John. He's a big Arsenal fan as well. We have to respect him, by the way. Any comments would do.
John, on that comment.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, you won't get yourself into a situation. But the thing is, as I said, this is a thing that Darren Bent came out with about 8-9 months ago, and I actually quite agreed with what he said.
Yeah.
And what he said was, instead of having PSR, what you could do is you have a scheme with the owners of the club. So whatever the owners are worth. So, so say for instance, if Bournemouth's owners worth, say, £1 billion, say for instance, or £2 billion, say, for argument's sake. Now the Premier League might say to the Bournemouth owner, okay, you need to put down £150 million bond. Now, what that is then is, like Darren Bent said, if your club then goes into administration, the Premier League can get into that £150 million bond and pay the players their wages and the staff and help the running costs of the club till a buyer is found.
Yeah.
And he said that way you wouldn't have any problems. He says, you know, and then he says if you look at like our ownership, the Saudis, they would have no problem because it'd just be a drop in the ocean to them just to say, yeah, okay, we'll stick, you know, we'll give you a couple of 500 million or whatever. That's no problem. That's a drop in the ocean. But when he actually said that, I actually thought, do you know what? That's not a bloody bad idea at all, because then all these clubs, if any clubs do go in administration, there's the money to help the club see them through that period until a buyer is found. So, I mean, I don't know what you think of that, John and Craig. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think Darren Bent's right?
I think that's a really, really good suggestion. And the thing is let's look at the situation at Reading, for example. I don't know if anybody knows, but there's a gentleman called Dai Yong who was in charge of that football club. And Reading, because of the terrible running of this guy, was relegated from the Championship into League One. He's lost complete and utter interest of running that football club. He's still got the money to run it. However, because he's lost all interest, the club is being run hand to mouth. It's being to be honest, it's been helped through by their sponsors. It's been helped through the prospective owners. And if, say, for example, that situation was in place, they could go, right, okay, you know, this Dai Yong, it sounds like he wants all the money that he invested back. But it's like if you buy a house, and that house, you don't look after it. The garden's a mess. The conservatory's fallen apart. You know, there's doors hanging off the hinges and things like that. That house is not going to be worth as much. Well, you know, it could be, but you know, at the end of the day, it might not be worth as much as what you paid for it in the first place. And what really should be happening is that EFL goes into that bond that this Dai Yong's put down and takes it out. Likewise with Farhad Moshiri at Everton, they should be able to go into a bond. I think it's a great suggestion. Go into Farhad Moshiri's bond, take out whatever it is to keep Everton surviving until they find a buyer. You know, okay, it's still going to be rocky for Everton. It's still going to be rocky for any club in that situation, but at least that club will survive. You know, it would be absolutely awful, you know, because who knows what Everton have built up debt wise. You know, we've already talked about the 200 million that 777 Group have invested, and now they're no longer interested, that Farhad Moshiri has to somehow pay back, even though he's not interested in investing in them. What about this stadium? How much more has to be paid on that? Loans, you know, I can't see where they're going to get this money from unless they get an owner quickly, or Farhad Moshiri starts putting, you know, his hand in his pocket to keep the club going. And with PSR, you know, effectively, I can understand why they've, you know, looked at bringing something in to help stop clubs getting in this situation. But the bond situation would be a lot better, because there shouldn't be a restriction on the top clubs or the clubs with the money being able to spend that money to stop them having certain sponsorships. What there should be is to stop clubs. You know, Todd Bowley, what happens if he pulls out Chelsea? He's bored of Chelsea. How much debt are they in? Well, they're in 500 million pounds worth of debt. You know, are they going to survive? Wouldn't it be? It would be terrible if we lost an Everton or a Chelsea, you know, from our landscape because of somebody who was in it for a short period of time, just as a plaything. You know, if Todd Bowley loses interest, like I say, in Chelsea, they are absolutely screwed. They're absolutely screwed. They're not being ran like Newcastle are. They're not being ran like that at all. They're not being ran sensibly. Neither was Reading, neither was Wigan, neither was Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, Bolton. none of these clubs were being ran, like Newcastle were, but Newcastle are the ones that are being punished. And likewise, we probably could spend a bit more. Bill Foley's got a lot of money. We could spend a lot more on replacing certain players. Of course, Lloyd Kelly's gone for free. Milos Kerkez might go for a bit, so a little bit more money comes back in. But how much money realistically are we going to be able to spend without falling over that trap? Our shirt sponsorship is no doubt worth a lot less than yours is and Man City's is. But say, for example, if Red Bull just said, well, we'd like to put our logo on the front of your shirts and give you 100 million for it, Neil Blake might be rubbing his hands together and thinking, brilliant, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But Richard Masters would put the blocks on that, and it's unfair.
I totally agree, mate. 100%, man. But it's just going to get worse and worse by Richard Masters. Get rid of him, just change for the better. I'll go for this call. It's going to wrap up the show soon, but I've got loads of comments coming up as well. Smash the likes if you're new as well, please, guys. I'm not savvy about the subject, but I'm all for whatever gets Man U relegated in League Two. Everyone wants that, don't they? And Luke's talking the tune. Question for Craig: Does your owner still on his? You have to repeat the question again, mate. Sorry, Mason. Comment time in a minute. If they've got FFP, it will solve so much as there will be so much money football again with the astronomical fees for players, clubs, and we get that money for players and reinvest. Yep, that's very true, Ethan. People, I think I've got a super chat as well. People say they want a fair playing field, but then say they want the club to have unlimited spending. Like what, Luke? I mean, look. We need to get rid. Sorry, man. Does he own Hibs? Does your owner still owns Hibs?
Yeah, he's got part investment into it. So he's got part investment into a New Zealand-based club. So he's got investment into them, investment in Hibs, investment in Lorient. I believe he was looking at investment into another club as well. Mainly what he wants to do is build up a multi-club ownership. And again, this is another hot topic because you've got Manchester City who have recently done this as well, where Girona have managed to qualify for the Champions League because of the investment that they've been put into, and it's caused UEFA into a bit of a sticky situation. It seems like it's all resolved now, but it looks like he's aiming for that, that sort of style of approach. But yeah, he no doubt he's going to spend more and more money, but we are going to be the parent club. I did speak to a guy called Nicholas, who's a Lorient fan, and Lorient have just been relegated to the second league in France, the second division of French football. And I would be very, very frustrated. I can understand the hatred that comes from the Lorient fans towards Bournemouth. Not to the Bournemouth fans, but to the football club, towards Bill Foley, because it's not nice to have, somebody in there who Dongo Watara, I think we probably paid a fair amount for, but it's not nice to have, a little bit what feels like a one-way relationship. If, say, for example, Lorient found a really, really good French player and that player come through, what's going to happen to that French player? He's going to come to us and it probably will be for a cut price figure. Let's be fair. So this is another thing that needs to be resolved because that is something that Manchester City, of course, are doing. I think they've got about 12 teams, if I'm right in thinking. But yeah, Richard Masters, like I say, he has to get in the bin. He has completely lost control of football. And yeah, well, actually, we might get another sponsor. Actually, thinking about it next season, it's not been announced. At Dafabet, and at the last game of the season at home, they actually put loads of shirts on the back of the seats at Dean Court with "Visit Vegas" or No, it's like a Las Vegas tourist board. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Foley's got there's some sort of deal in that. You know, he was the man that took ice hockey to the desert. You know, he's quite a bold person, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's got some investment in that and will use that as a vehicle to get money into Bournemouth. Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? If he wants to pay Bournemouth 100 million through that sponsor to, you know, have the name on the shirt and, you know, where we can invest, I can't see what the issue is. But of course, Richard Masters would say no to it, and that's just damn well wrong. I'm with Man City on that, and you've opened my eyes up to that. It's, you know, I've learned something today, Tony. I've learned something, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just want to say, John, obviously there's a comment in the there's a one in the chat saying that obviously it's Luke Mudway, and he says but you would say that's incompetent by the clubs for buying players or giving wages to players that are outside their ability to pay. Well, the thing is, look, if what I want to say is, look, if there was no FFP, right, at the end of the day, you can still spend within your means, because at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, if there's no FFP and if an owner goes out and spends above their means, then at the end of the day, that's their problem. You never spend, like,
1.6
when you're living, you know, like any of us, do we go out and spend above our means? No, absolutely not. You know, because I wouldn't want to put myself in that position, neither would anybody else. If a football club spends above their means and then puts herself in trouble, then there's only one person to blame for that, and that's the owner of that football club.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, spend what you have. But, you know, this is why I'm saying I think the FFP, it something needs doing. And I think this 105 million over 3 years is old now. It's gone, because as far as I'm concerned, we're not even going within line with inflation with this either. And it should have been up to 200 million over 3 years, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. Again, 110%. But yeah, I can't really add to that one, Tony. You're absolutely right, man. To be honest, I've little sympathy for some teams. Sheffield spent 67 mil last season. For example, the 3 French teams that were relegated spent 41 mil combined. Premier League in general just waste of money. Yeah, I kind of agree. Burnley spent 111 mil. Is that not good enough? Well, they gave it a go and still got relegated. Real City, Gannon, third division, gates massively dropped. Which rich owners are Gannon investing clubs now? Am I thinking that will take overs behind restrictions? Well, I tell you what, I mean, they still got bought in 2008, and look at where they are now. Rob's chatting to Luke. Saudi's
could have been us, John.
Yeah, could have been us.
Because those owners wanted to buy Newcastle, and it was down to Dennis Wise and the fat man who were asking for too much money, and you know, they ended up buying City. So, you know, just goes to show.
Yeah.
You know, the fat man too greedy yet again.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And he's already killed us. We had a turnover. We had more turnover than Tottenham Hotspur before I actually bought the club. And here we are. They got more turnover than us. That just tells everything that you need to know. Yeah, they can spend what they want. We cannot. Saudi's the only place that would pay the wages higher than the Premier League. Every other league, except for the outlets such as Bayern, PSG, Real, Barca, won't be able to afford the wages. That's from Luke. And you not heard of FFP, Luke. And Rob, thanks so much for your super chat, man. Really appreciate that. £5. Thank you very much. And he said, fantastic show, guys. But when are we getting onto the best of Britain clash between Wales and Gibraltar? Don't not pick again. I don't think Dublin plays Wales again. Well, I mean, he does, but I can't see it, man. Contradiction, though. You don't want another Wigan, Portsmouth, etc. But then one seems to spend what they want. It has to be sustainable. Do you know what it is, John? If you're going to compete, we've got the money, we can do it. Simple as that, man. But at the minute, PSR's killed us, yeah? We'll wait and see what happens with Man City, eh? And let's hope they win the day. Aramco, I'll tell you what, that'd be amazing. One day. What a chance of getting Bowen. I can't see him coming anywhere near Newcastle. He's got a 6-year contract, Dave. and he's rated 100 mil according to West Ham. I don't think we'd be getting him.
He
Also,
did want to come to us, but he was at Weatherby Services on his way up to us when the fat man pulled the plug on the deal, and he went to West Ham instead.
2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely joke that. Joke that owner, former owner, is a joker. He really is. The fact these top media pundits say we don't want another post-monthly Sporting Reading, etc., is a smokescreen for who they really are protecting, and that's the big clubs. Fat. Tangy, fats. And every club is releasing players at the minute, getting them off the books. I said need to get rid of 8 to 10 players in the summer. We got rid of 5. Man, you keeping Evans, that's affordable. Wow. What's your thoughts on that, Rob, mate, of keeping Johnny Evans? Wow. And Luke's chatting to Rob. Everyone's chatting about this is good. Prime sample, Everton in that case. Everton buy the club 550 mil. 550 mil. Wow. It's better than the points deduction. Agree. And Wrexham versus City in the playoff final coming soon. Wow. And buy Everton's debt, pay for the stadium, and then rebuild a squad. 100 million at least, and then have to put at least 150 million bond down. It'll price people out of buying the club. I see where you're coming from. Are you sick of City?
Yes, John, right? I'll tell you what's interesting, John.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people have picked this up as observing as well, and a lot of people are saying, is Guardiola, because obviously Guardiola said next season's going to be his last season as Man City manager. A lot of people are saying, is he doing this deliberate because he wants to get out before Man City are punished and before everything kicks off?
It looks.
What do you reckon, John?
I think it looks like it done it. I mean, you do the maths here. De Bruyne wants to go to Saudi. Pep's going to make his last season, right? I'm sure other players will be thinking, you know what, I want everything at Man City. Do you know what I mean? But it's in the open. It's either they mustn't know what's going on, or they're going to think, you know what, I want to go with Pasha's new. But for me, we'll have to wait and see. But the pyramids are open. The pattern's opening, Tony. The pattern's opening. Do you know what I mean? We know what's going to happen. For their sake, they've got to win this arbitration. Then it helps us a lot. If they can spend what they want, we should spend what we want. And then, if we're not allowed to, we take them to court as well. Simple as that. But I hope it doesn't come to that, Tony. I hope it doesn't come to that, man. Do you remember the bongs and bribes that also George Graham, Bruce Grobbelaar from Liverpool and others took back in the early 90s? Imagine if it happened now, that's in Tangy, Tony. Can you remember that?
Yeah. Woo! Yes, I do remember that, Tangy. I remember that very well, to be fair. And I mean, I also remember when we beat Liverpool at St James's Park 3-0 and Cole got a hat-trick. Now, if anybody hasn't seen that, go back and watch the vid. Go back and watch how easy Andy Cole scores them goals, because that was one of those games that Bruce Grobbelaar had a bet on that Newcastle would win 3-0 and Cole would get a hat-trick, and he got done for it. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, and you'll see how easy Andy Cole scores his hat-trick, because honestly, there's no attempt from Grobbelaar to save any of them goals. And at the time, you just think it's a great win against Liverpool, but when it comes out in the open that it was a scam because of a bet, then you know it makes you even more livid to think of it. You know, even though it's great that we beat Liverpool 3-0 and Cole gets a hat trick, but you know, in the circumstances, you just think, you know, you've cheated your own team out of. You know what I mean? So, do you remember that, John?
Yeah, I do. Scored a hat-trick in the first half as well. And I knew some of us was going wrong in that game. Some didn't look quite right. But I'm glad we won the game. To be fair. There. Other than that, Grobbelaar got in the spot of bother. Yeah. Took the Sunday call. Won the first kiss. And then, on the appeal, he lost the appeal, didn't he? And then he got a quid or something like that. So, hey-ho.
But talking about Liverpool, John, talking about our games against Liverpool, I mean, I remember being at the match when we played Liverpool and we won 2-1 as well. 2-0, sorry, when Enrique ended up in goal. It was at my end because I was in the Leeds then, but when Perch went down like a sack of spuds from that hit from Pepe Reina, when he didn't really touch him that hard, but the way James Perch dropped to the ground, that was brilliant that day, and then he got sent off Reina and he wasn't happy about it. Do you remember that, John?
Yeah, I can, man. That was
Good old James Perch.
Yes. Absolutely. My guy. He wasn't world class, but he plays with a heart of gold, that guy, I'm telling you. When he plays,
£1.5 million, John.
oh man, there's how many £1.5 million these days you can buy a good defender. That guy did the job. He did the job first, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, he was. I mean, he
He
wasn't the
wasn't-
best player, John,
Nah.
but he gave 100%. He tried, you know.
Yes, he did.
And I think that's what won the hearts of a lot of fans, you know.
I agree.
That's why he got the nickname Pacino.
Yes, absolutely. And he's a good guy as well. He sounds a polite like
I've got a picture with him, John, because I got a picture of him outside St James's Park when I was going in for the game.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have to look at that as well. Show us it next time, man.
Yeah.
And the big up to Graham B, man. All the best to you, man. Met you in Paris. Yes, you did. Keep up the good work. Big J. Thanks so much indeed, my guy. Good to see you, Graham. And hope you watch more of our shows as well. I'm being like Rafa. I need fats. Thank you very much. Even to Pete, hope you're well. Trevor saying that actually wants to buy Sunderland. I don't know how true that is. I won't swear Cashy's not worth it. Is that true, Trevor? And then we've got Archer as well. Bigger to Andrew as well. Oh, lads, not long till the Euro kicks off. Absolutely, it's just a week's time. I'm buzzing for that. Pepe, don't want to be in the lower leagues. Cannot blame him. That's from Rob. And let's get this one. So that'll be good. That's from Ian. There are rumours about that before. Ashley for Sunderland. Craig, what do you think of Sean Casey calling Lloyd Kelly a Rolls Royce defender?
Do you know what I do think? Think Lloyd Kelly. Yeah, Lloyd Kelly is a good defender. I think he did lack a bit of confidence at one point, and that was around the time of the Burnley FA Cup game. Just went completely off the boil. But I think he is a very solid defender, both at left back and also at centre back as well. So he does the basic stuff very well. He's not flustered. We saw when he was flustered, but he really did bounce back. One thing that sadly, which happened to him at Bournemouth was that he come under a lot of, abuse, put nicely, on social media. And, I think he kind of hinted that as well, that it wasn't nice, what some people were saying about him. Adam Smith has spoken out about it as well, and other players as well. It wasn't good. He was a player that was lacking in confidence. What Gary O'Neill did at the time was the best thing for him. He took him out the firing line. He got him to one side. He helped him and then put him back in the side when he was confident again. And in fact, I was watching earlier on about the Euro '96 team, and when, of course, we missed, Stuart Pearce missed that penalty. I think it was against Switzerland, wasn't it? And Terry Venables had to make a call on him and had to make sure that he had, his head in the right place before he carried on, before he, in that tournament, before he was thrown straight back into it after that game. And that's what the best managers do: take their players out of the firing line, get their confidence back up, build them back up as people, and then put them back in the squad. Because Lloyd Kelly's always had quality. There's not, he might have a dip again at some point in his career. Hopefully not. But, what he suffered from our fans is inexcusable. And, he's proven a lot of people wrong, because he was excellent last season when he did come in. And yeah, he's got a good career, and I wish him the very best.
Kind words for that, Craig. Thank you very much indeed for that. And that's kind words for you, mates. And if he does come, I hope we're going to look after him.
Yeah,
let's go to the comfortable wrap up the show. Hoyland smashing them against Newport. Can't see it. Those players contacts will have them gone if they got relegated. I agree. Thank you very much, Dean Matthew. I really appreciate that. Make sure you come back again, mate. Man destroyed everything he touched. Foxy said, Everton, another team I can't defend. Go look at their list of players they signed. They didn't get any money back for them. Just Tulson, they spent 22 M's. Free transfer a year later. Bad business. bang on 20 players once out of town, they know exactly what's coming. You remember the beach ball tap was fixed. That's and Trev. Grew a loser year we're in the top 6. Yep. I remember George Riley scored a winner against Liverpool, and my glory hunting classmates were fuming. That's from Ronald. Glenn Roder, days. James Perch, I miss Roder, man. Great guy, sadly missed. You know what? Rest in peace, Glenn. Sad news, man. Sorry to hear the news as well. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, everybody. Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate that. And Newcastle need Tonali back. He can play in any team. I agree. And thanks again for your donation as well. Next season, when you're down for the Bournemouth game, pop and see Craig and I at the Boscombe East concert like I did last year. Matthew, don't worry. I will do, mate. I will do. 110% I'll be there. Don't worry about that.
We're holding you to that. We're holding you to that, John.
I'll be there. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. I was there last season. I actually love Bournemouth.
Good.
Bournemouth, thank you so much indeed for that. I've just watched them girls on YouTube. God, I did attempt to save them. I said, Ian, I kind of agree. And we got Ronald as well. Glenn Roder lived 2 doors away from my mates when playing for us in Fieldside, Wickham. And Poshish, but not rich back in them days. That is from Ronald. And Harry, how out? Okay.
No, never.
Rolls Royce, more Robert Lions. Been great show tonight. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Kelly. I appreciate that. Sergio Conceição incoming. He'll be off to Marseille. Talks in Marseille. Watch Paquetá trying as hard as to get booked in funny finish. You know what? That guy is in big trouble. Before we wrap up the show, quick thoughts on Paquetá, Tony. I tell you what, we might have dodged a bullet on this guy. We could have signed him, and to do that, I'll be fuming.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I mean, look, yeah, the one in banned for life, don't they, for this, which is a really strong ban, to be fair. So, you know, he's going to get a ban regardless. It's just going to be interesting to see what length of ban he gets, though.
He'll get a long one. He'll definitely get a long one. Let's be real about that. Let's not beat him around the bush here. And also as well, Craig, before we wrap up as well, looking at in Sky Sports News and Football Insider, that Newcastle is yet to reach a full agreement with Lloyd Kelly. Roma and Atletico Madrid are after this guy as well. Rumours, people. Rumours.
Do you know what?
Thanks,
you know, even though he got, you know, so much grief from our fans, you know, Newcastle, Roma, AC Milan, they're not incorrect. You know, he is a good quality player. He's only going to get better. And we've lost a star, unfortunately. We really have lost a star. You know, we've lost somebody who is very dependable. You know, not somebody you could say is somebody who he's not the greatest player in the world. We know that. We know that. But what he did was he did things well. He did the basics well. He was growing. He was getting better. I'm gutted we couldn't tie him down to another contract.
Keep talking, guys. Keep talking because I'm coming out. Keep talking.
Well, whether or not it's down to the case that, you know, if it is the social media abuse, it's really embarrassing from our club's fans. But also, you know, I'm hoping that we did offer him revised figures, and, you know, unfortunately, he just didn't want to take them. You know, it's up to him, and, you know, I wish him the very, very best. I would love to see him go to Newcastle. I think it's his most likely destination. You know, again, it's rumours until he's in a Newcastle shirt. But I think Eddie Howe would be the best person for Lloyd Kelly to work under.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I'm honest, I'm not really sold on Lloyd Kelly. If I'm honest, I hope he proves us wrong. But I'm a bit underwhelmed by it, if I'm honest. Yes, it's a free. Yes, he can play left back. He can play centre back. I don't think he'll be the first choice left back next season. I think he'll be a bench player because Lewis Hall was so how well he played towards the end of the season. So I think he will be the starting left back next season. We're looking at getting 2 centre backs in as well. So it depends who we bring in the centre backs, because obviously we need to get one to eventually replace Shea, who's not getting any younger. Botman, the sales are out till January at least next year. So we're short in that department as well. So yeah, I mean, look, he'll probably play in some games like cup games maybe or whatever. But I don't think he'll be a regular starter. As I say, Lewis Hall will be the regular left back. Look, I know, as I say, I know it's a free signing, but I'm not really sold on Lloyd Kelly, if I'm honest. As I said, John, I think it's underwhelming. But, we'll give him a chance, see how he does. But, I was never sold on him when I first heard about him, but I want him to prove us wrong.
You never know. He might be another Joe Linton, somebody who really does excel under Eddie Howe. I think Iriola has helped him, like Iriola's helped a lot of players. See, this is maybe, I was a bit gutted when Gary O'Neill was sacked at first. I was a bit gutted because the reason being is because Gary kept us up. He kept us up well. The last 4 games, was disappointing. I think he took his foot off the accelerator, but he did a job. However, I think Iriola, like Semenyo, when he was at Bristol City, when he signed from Bristol City, and of course Lloyd Kelly's from Bristol City originally as well, he blew very much hot and cold, for Bristol City. He wasn't a consistent performer. What Iriola has done is he's got him consistent. I think he's brought Lloyd Kelly's game on. Now, there's only one other manager who I could say will take Lloyd Kelly from what Iriola's taught him and take him on, and that's Eddie Howe. And the thing is Eddie Howe, I don't know if you're aware of this, and Iriola do know each other before this as well. Of course, they were studying each other's philosophies as well. When Eddie was out of the game, he studied Iriola for a bit. And I think, honestly, Lloyd Kelly might surprise you, Tony. And I really do hope he does, because he is a very capable player. Like I say, I'm disappointed that he's gone. Some Bournemouth fans might not be, but, they could be eating their words, in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. Absolute facts. 100%. Gordon's been fantastic. Alan, ASM's electric. Oh, right, I will do. Eddie Howe is quality. Stay calm. Thank you, Rob, for that. Steve Cooper's a good coach. He'll get a job very soon. I agree with Tony Lloyd Kelly, but Torsten as a tosser. Gandhi Chelsea, so effing exactly that. Really one place to play for our football club. Right, we're going to wrap up the show there, guys. You can go on for another 2 as well. I'm going to do one day. I'm going to do a 3-4 hour stream. I will do a 3-4 hour stream, right, called Ball Meeting, right? And we're going to talk about anything Newcastle, and it's an open show. If anyone wants to come on, I'll send put on the link, join in as well, and you can talk about it as well one day. It's going to happen. And it's been a great show tonight. And Craig, can you tell us where we can find you on your channel, man? Or you got coming up as well, mate?
Yeah, of course. So we've had a lot of interviews recently. So we had Richie Neville from 5. We've also had Richard Archer from Hard 5. Harry Redknapp comes on quite a lot. We've also got another celebrity that is coming on, of one of the biggest bands in the UK of the noughties and the 2010s as well. So they're still going, but he's not in it anymore. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be a very interesting interview. So you can find us at UTC IAD AFCB on Twitter, Facebook. You can find us as well on YouTube by that link. I have rebranded it to Up the Cherries, because Up the Cherries in all departments, UTC IAD is a bit of a mouthful. A lot of people were getting a little bit confused what it actually means and being able to say it. Some people were saying it the wrong way around. So yeah, it's now called Up the Cherries. But yeah, do come and subscribe to us and come and watch some of the interviews, because they're really interesting. If you do like your music, like me, then there's some real good stuff on there for you.
Fantastic stuff. And there's UTICAD
UTC IAD, up the cherries in all departments. Or up the cherries now, I call it.
Fantastic. I think Mum will probably put it in as UTC IAD.
Yeah, you see what I've rebranded it up the cherries, can't you now?
Hey, yeah. Bless you. I'll get there, yeah, I'll get there. UTC IAD. Brilliant. Thank you, man. Thank you, Mama. I really appreciate your help us a month tonight. I appreciate that. Share the love to Mama Flossie. Do follow her on her Instagram account as well. She's always on there. And big up to John, also fan, but thank you so much indeed for joining us, mate. I appreciate that. And so you haven't got this sort of ban Archer. But Archer answered that question. One day, Bournemouth will be as big as Cardiff City. That's from Rob. I knew he said that. Great show. As always, Tony, John. Thank you, George. Rob, I like joking, by the way. Tony, where can we find you, man? What have we got coming up?
Yeah, so you can find me on my channel, which is behind me there. It's all black and white TV. So if you haven't gone on my channel, go and have a look. Check it out. Hit the subscribe, hit the likes as well. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much, because I'm only 27 away now from hitting 1,200. Friday night, I have got the pre-match show, so join me for pre-match. England versus Iceland at Wembley Stadium. I'll bring you both lineups as well. So do join me for that. And I'm not sure what is coming up tomorrow, but I may have some sort of show tomorrow, so do keep an eye out. But definitely Friday, the pre-match show will be on as well. And then next week, there'll be obviously other shows on, and there'll be one which will be probably next Thursday, maybe a look ahead to the Euros starting next Friday, where Germany face Scotland. And through the month of June, every night you can catch me for a roundup of the Euros for the games on that day, and we'll have a look back at the games of the day. And can't wait for the Euros start. At least we've got a month of football. It just means the football season comes round a little bit quicker, because the month of June into July goes because we're watching the Euros. So everybody be happy. Plus, it's a good chance to watch Euros because I can sit there with me notepad and pen and think, who would I like on my shopping list? But yeah, it's a good thing to do as well. So it's always nice to look at. So that's it. Thanks very much for having me on, John.
No problem, stuff. No problem. There you go. UTC IAD AFCB. Do hit that subscribe button, please, people, to watch Craig's channel. It's some fantastic show. Deserves more followers as well. And also, it's all black and white TV. If you're new to the chat, that is Tony's channel, is rising all the time. And come on, guys, Welsh supporter is where it is. D-Day tomorrow. Well, good luck tomorrow for your team, Rob. Hope you get that win. And inflated player prices of Euroflash in the pan. There's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money. There's tickets this time. England kick off against Serbia on my late dad's birthday. Ronald, rest in peace, your great late dad as well. We're thinking of you as well. And Mama Flossie, love you lots as always. Thank you very much for modding as well. Hope we'll be back on the next show as well. And guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, do subscribe to John Sinclair TV. The numbers have gone up as well. I've got over 8,500 subs. Thank you very much indeed for that. And as always, like and subscribe. And as always, and that goes to Rob and my favourite as well, Floss. And as always, guys, how are we the lads? Have a fantastic